going on, YouTube? I'm Wayne, and this is Wayne's Fish Roll. Thanks for tuning in to another episode, guys. This is a very special episode because it's a start of a new series that's going to be branching off in my channel, and it's going to consume the entire year of 2016. I know I got a lot of viewers out there that want to see more advanced videos, but that's also going to be branching off into another video series called Wayne's Insight. If you've been around for a long time, you know Wayne's Insight is a really good video series that I abandoned, and I'm bringing it back. But you guys got to remember, my video channel started on one thing, and then one thing only. It was to give back to the beginners. I evolved, and I helped others evolve as well. But my channel focuses on beginners. That's my main priority. I love everybody else, but I'm really out there to get everybody that's getting started a head start. I've got to state something. I've noticed a trend in this aquarium hobby. In the YouTube section of our hobby, or pet keeping, however you want to classify it is, I've noticed the videos are changing. You guys probably have too. They're getting to be more vlog-like. They're getting to be more, even though they have something to do with aquariums, they're not really talking about anything having to do with aquariums. I promise, guys, that's not going to be me. My channel is for fish tanks, and if my views are lost, so what? I'm sticking to what I am. So the first part of the video series is how to choose your first aquarium and where to place it. This video is going to be broken into two parts, the prologue and the main segment. I'm going to start off with the prologue by saying there's some golden rules we need to live by. I want you to write in your guidebook the 10 commandments of fish keeping. Okay, look, they're not really 10 commandments, but anyways. But they're more like a few quotes that's come across in our community over the years, and I think these quotes hold a lot of value to them. The first quote is coming from the one and only, the master of saltwater, New York Stilo. New York Stilo in his videos, even though he's abandoned us for now, he said he'll come back when his heart feels it. But as of right now, his heart's not feeling it, so he doesn't want to bring videos that aren't 100% him. And I understand that completely. But in the day, he used to say that you need to have patience. That's the one thing you really need to learn head on in this aquarium hobby. You can't jerry-rig things. You can't expect to have things rush. If you rush, more likely you're going to run into negative side effects. So we want to learn how to have patience in our aquariums. This one is from yours truly. I came up with this about 2-3 years ago, and that is have dedication. I'm not trying to scare anybody out there who's new, but you can set your aquarium up for success. More than likely, you're still going to run into a few roadblocks and speed bumps. You're going to have problems. Don't worry. A community such as myself and others out here that are watching are here for you guys. Also, start a community at your local fish store and get involved. We are here to support you. That's what my channel is all about. But you're going to run into problems. Don't be scared. Don't be intimidated. Have dedication, because you're going to need it. This one comes from the plant man himself. I'm not talking about that weird song from the 80s or 90s. I'm talking about Dustin Wunderlich. Dustin always says, have a plan. And I don't think there's any truth higher than that. If you do not have a plan before jumping in, then you're going to have a very rocky road. You're not going to know what you're getting into. You're not going to know where you're trying to go or what you're trying to accomplish. You really need to visualize what you're trying to accomplish and then set steps and goals and find out how you can meet those mile marks, and then look back and reflect on what you could have done better and how you can improve in the future. But the main thing is you need to have a plan. Figure out what you're trying to do in your aquarium and then make it happen. This one is one I actually came up with myself not too long ago, maybe about a year ago, and that's learn your system, not the hobby. There's a rule book out there for fish keeping that's a generalized rule book. It's generalized. It's not specific. You need to learn your system, not the hobby. Take that rule book into consideration, but then go a step further. Learn it, master it, question it, and then add your own pages to the rule book and spread that knowledge to the community. No two systems are the same. You can set 2 aquariums up with the same fish, the same filters, the same lighting, everything, and you can have different results. Alright, now that church is out, we're going to move into a few things you guys need to know. Aquariums take work. You're not just going to fill your tank up, bring home the gravel, clean it off, put the fake plants, real plants, decoration in there, open the bag, throw the fish in, and hope for the best. It's not going to happen like that. You're going to have to put the blood, sweat, and tears in it. These aquariums are a little piece of nature, and nature works differently than our aquariums, and I personally believe And like I said before, there's many opinions out there on how to do things, but this is my own personal opinion. You need to learn how to mimic nature as close as possible. You need to bring the rainfall. You need to bring sunlight to the plants. You need to do everything that is required by God, Mother Nature, or whatever you want to classify it as. You guys are responsible for playing that part in your aquarium. So don't expect to just throw it together. Now, unfortunately, either way you look at it, it's my displeasure or my great pleasure to tell you that there is a disease out there called multi-tankinitis. I think Dustin came up with this one as well. And what that is when you master your own aquarium or you thoroughly enjoy it, you're going to want more. And there's no getting around that. I'm sorry. It's just, if you were meant for this, you were meant for it, and you can't stop it. But you set up your first fish tank. Now you want plants. You got to set up a planted aquarium. And now you mastered plants. You want a reef tank. Now you got to set up a reef tank. Before you know it, you're going to have 3 aquariums, and then that happened to me, and now I got, I don't even want to say. It's over 20. So multi-tankinitis can hit you hard. Watch out for that. Don't go into the impulse buying. Have a plan. Remember what I said? And the last thing I want to tell you guys in the prologue is help. There's tons of help out there. Like I said earlier in this video, I'm part of that help, and that's what my channel is all about. Get in a community. If there's not a community at your local fish store, start one. If there's only a few people in it, so what? At least 2 heads are better than 1. So get involved. Either it's a local fish store or online. And there's no excuse. Almost everyone has access to the internet. So if you can get on a forum or YouTube channels, bottom line, get involved and familiarize yourself with some educated people. Alright guys, so that's it for the prologue. Let's dive into selecting our first aquarium. Alright guys, so before you even go out to the fish store or go into PetSmart, Petco, or Walmart, or even browsing online, you need to get a game plan. Remember what I said about having a plan? We're going to talk about that again. Understand what you're trying to accomplish. That's what you needed to figure out. You need to figure out what you were trying to accomplish with this. You ask yourself 2 things. Are you in it for the short term or the long term? More than likely, if you're successful or even have fun with it, you're going to be in for the long term. Fish tanks and aquariums are something that really captivates minds, and it's rewarding, it's peaceful, it's relaxing, it's enjoyable, and I absolutely love it. And more than likely, you will too. So if we're in it for the long-term run, we need to decide what kind of fish do we honestly want to keep. What I suggest you guys doing is going on like Live Aquaria and some other kind of forum or website such as that. I'm not talking a day, a week. I'm talking a very long duration of research and figuring out which fish appeals to you. And it might not be a fish. You might want to keep an invertebrate tank full of shrimp. That might float your boat, and that's fine. But we need to figure out what you want. So unfortunately, you've got your eye on a Moorish idol, but Moorish idols are nowhere near ready for beginners. They're not a forgiving fish, and they should only be in the hands of experts. So you want to work your way up to Moorish idols, or for you freshwater people, you want to work your way up to discus. So what do? I suggest you buy a bigger aquarium than what you really need, because more than likely you're going to upgrade in the future. So instead of having 2 aquariums lying around, it might cost more now, but you're not going to have a second aquarium leading to multi-tankinitis, and you're going to be focused on that one system. Buy the biggest aquarium that you can, and also thinking long term. Think how much it's going to cost you to maintain it. That includes electricity, maintenance, food, everything above. I did a video a while back on So You Want a Monster Tank. It basically talks about what I just said. I highly suggest you guys check that video out right there. I'll put a link in the description below. That's going to give you a feel of what I'm talking about. So, let's say, for example, we really like African cichlids. We love peacocks, but we're not ready for them. So we're going to start off with some easier to keep fish. But I'm going to go ahead and buy a 75-gallon tank. That way, when I'm ready, I can upgrade. So now that we've got the aquarium and we're ready to get our first fish, how do we determine what's a good fish to start with? Like I said, get in the community. It's a great way. I also did a video on this last Sunday. The top 5 fish that are most suitable for beginners. Another good thing you can do is go to Live Aquaria. It's a great resource. You got pictures and you got quality information right there at your disposal. Click on their freshwater tab and go down to their beginner fish. Click that link, check their aggression levels and whatnot, and find out what's going to be most appealing to you. Don't get what everybody else has. A lot of people ask me, Wayne, what do I put in my aquarium? I don't know. You are only going to like your aquarium and become successful with your aquarium if you are happy with it. Don't please YouTube. If I took my YouTube down, I would still have my tanks going. And you know who's the only one enjoying them? Me. I'm the one enjoying them at the end of the day. So if you enjoy it, more than likely your audience is going to enjoy it. Don't worry about what people think. Please yourself. Okay, so we decided how big of an aquarium we're going to get, and we've also decided what kind of fish we're going to start off with. So there's another question. Do we go with glass or do we go with acrylic? Now there's pros and cons to each. And I'm going to start with the beginner. The first to come out of the two was glass. Glass is heavier. It's also easier to break. And certain panels of glass, if it's tempered, can't be drilled. If you drill tempered glass, it's going to shatter. Most of your safety doors in houses are required to be tempered for code, such as shower doors or storm doors. Anything like that is tempered. That way if it breaks, it doesn't cut you. And the same thing applies to the aquariums. Not all aquariums are tempered though, and if it's not tempered, you can drill it. That's not something you should be looking at as a beginner, so we're not even going to go there. Now a pro of glass is that it's much cheaper. And another thing is, it can be almost as clear as acrylic. Now, not all glass is the same. You've got the old school glass tanks made of high iron that are green as hell, and they weigh a ton. That's a dinosaur. But you've got tanks now that are pretty crystal clear. And then you have your high-end glasses like Starfire glass, which is what you see in like SeaWorld and other exhibits. This glass is very clear. For example, there's a video on my channel where I visit Newport News, Virginia Aquarium. Check it right here or in the link in the description below, where the glass was holding back an alligator and some gars and whatnot. The glass was 4 inches thick, but it was clearer than any other tank I've seen. That Starfire glass is crystal clear, just as good as acrylic in my opinion. Now it's not, but to the naked eye, you can't really tell the difference. So what am I a fan of personally? I personally like glass because of certain reasons, and that's what we're going to talk about, acrylic. There's a lot of people out there that will tell you acrylic is the way to go. You need to formulate your own opinion. Don't just get my opinion. Get others and do your own research. That way you know what's best for you. Acrylic's downfall is that it turns yellow over time. And that can be buffed out, but you're going to have to drain the water to do that. And it scratches insanely easy. Insanely easy. One little pebble or one grain of salt could just leave a Zorro mark all over the front of your aquarium. Once again, it can be buffed out, but it's a lot of work going into it. And it can be done, but it's not something a beginner should be tackling themselves with. Now, the pros of acrylic tank is that they are super light. That really doesn't apply to me. But a lot of people that can't lift heavy objects, this might be more suitable for you. This tank isn't going to be as heavy, so if it's on a upper floor, that might be the solution. Another thing about acrylic that is absolutely wonderful, that the main thing I absolutely adore about acrylic that I wish all glass aquarium had, is the fact that you can drill them wherever you want. Doesn't matter where you drill them, it's not going to crack because it's acrylic, it's plastic. So if you want to put an overflow somewhere oddball in your aquarium, go ahead and do it. Take your hole saw, pop a bulkhead in there, you're good to go. So, for the beginners, I highly suggest going with the glass aquarium. You don't have to go Starfire. If you want to, go ahead and spend the money if you want to, but you don't have to. So to round this up, we decided that it's more beneficial for a beginner aquarist to purchase a glass aquarium that is larger than needed. And another reason for that is because it's got more water volume, and the pollutants in the water volume are going to be diluted, and it's going to have minimal effects on your aquarium fish. A bigger aquarium is actually easier to keep. It's more forgiving. The water volume is spread out, and bad things take longer to happen, and pollutants are diluted. So even though you might have to do more water changes, which we'll talk about later, it's going to be easier in the long run. The last thing we need to consider is, what kind of aquarium do we do? Do we get a set, or do we get an aquarium in pieces? And what I mean by that is, do we go to the local fish store, PetSmart, Petco, and buy a box with everything in it, including the aquarium, a filter, a heater, some dechlor, possibly some fish food and a fish net? Or do we go to the local fish store and buy the tank, a heater, a light, and so on and so forth? I highly suggest, if you're a beginner and you're starting off, it might be beneficial to get the whole set. And the reason I say that is because you don't want to overwhelm yourself with all these other options. There's a whole list of options out there that is going to overwhelm you. If you're ready to get overwhelmed, then it might be beneficial for you to go out and buy everything individually. I would personally never buy an aquarium set. I would go out and buy everything separate, because not one manufacturer makes all the products in aquariums. And all depending on what you're trying to accomplish in your aquarium, there's going to be certain lights and filters that are better for different applications. So when one light might be perfect for one scenario, it's not going to be as good for another scenario. So, you know, Eheim, they make amazing heaters. Fluval, they make amazing lights and filtration. But it might not work in another application. So you need to have your own plan. So you need to learn your system, not the hobby. Remember that? So in my opinion, it's more beneficial to go out and pick the equipment that's going to be best suited for what you're trying to accomplish. Other than that, guys, you guys pretty much know what to look for and how to select your first aquarium. Go out there, use this knowledge that I've given you, and select your first tank that you want to purchase. I'm going to join you guys next week with another video on the next step on how to set up your first aquarium. Stay tuned. If you like this video, hit the subscribe button. It's going to help me out a lot, guys. Hit the like button if you enjoyed it, if you learned something. And until next time, I'll see you guys next time. I've been Wayne with Wayne's Fish World. Later.